Hello, welcome to the Warframe First Step Guide for new players. Today, we are going to be going over the Deadlock Protocol Quest as well as the Protea farm. So whenever you're ready, you can head over to your codex and start the quest from there. Go ahead and scroll over to the Deadlock Protocol and begin the mission. Upon beginning it, a cutscene will play, so we're going to skip forward so we don't spoil anything. So after you finish watching the cutscene, go ahead and head to navigation, bring down your quest menu, and I believe your first mission is going to take you to Venus. Now, this mission is going to be an interception mission, but considering the fact that it's level 10 through 13, it should be fairly easy for you guys. So go ahead and boot that up. So if you're a new player, or any player for that matter, I'm sure interceptions are some of your least favorite missions in Warframe. But what I will say about this interception is it's only a level 13 interception and it's pretty easy. You only have 2 points to capture and defend, so all you have to do is hold those 2 points and it'll be over in no time. You do have 2 rounds to do this, so keep that in mind. Once you arrive back at your ship, go ahead and head to your navigation, bring down your quest menu, and head to your next objective. This is going to take you to Fortuna to talk to Utico, and it's also going to get you access to the back room temporarily. I assume if you're a new player, you probably don't have access to the back room yet, but for now, I would say just fast travel over to Utico and then walk to the back room because that's where you need to go. Once you're done at Fortuna and you're finally back at your ship, you're ready for the next part of your mission. So go ahead and head to your navigation, bring down your quest menu, and access the next quest. And this is going to take you back to Venus. So go ahead and head to your objective area, and while you're here, you're going to be getting a ton of dialogue from the business as well as a little bit from Nathaniel, I believe. And all that dialogue is just for you to stand here and defend this console. So once they finally finish talking, just activate the console, defend it, and you should be cleared to extract and head to your next mission. So once you are all done with that, go ahead and head to your navigation and bring up your quest menu and activate your next objective. This is going to take you back to Fortuna, and you have to head to the back room once again and talk to Utico to proceed on the next part of the quest. So you guys know the deal by now. Go ahead and fast travel over to Utico and then just walk straight to the back room and have a little conversation with Utico and the boys. So once you are done at Fortuna and you are back at your ship, go ahead and head over to your navigation, bring down your quest menu, and activate the next part of your quest. The next part of your quest is going to take you back to Venus, and this time you're going to have to go into Granum's Void. So for now, your objective is to search the area. So just proceed to the objective area, and then eventually you'll be prompted to kill one of these guys to get a coin. This coin is going to grant you access to Granum's Void. Now, these coins are only carried by these coin carriers, and they usually spawn in towards the end of a mission. So, depending on what level the mission is, dictates the type of coin you will receive. So, if you're doing missions on Pluto, you're going to receive the highest version of the coin. If you're doing missions on Jupiter, you're going to receive the mid-tier version of the coin. And if you're doing missions on Phobos, you're going to obtain the lowest version of the coin. Now, you will need all these versions of the coin because in order to get Protea parts as well as Thalta parts as well as Stropha parts, they all spawn on different tiers of the Granum's Void. So keep that in mind depending on what you want to farm. Now, when you're ready to go to Granum's Void, you want to make your way to one of these gold hands. To enter, you have to make sure there's no enemies in the immediate area, or it's not going to let you enter Granum's Void. So go ahead and head to the terminal, use the coin that you acquired from the coin holder, and proceed into Granum's Void. Now, when you're farming for Protea, the best Warframe to use is probably going to be Mesa with a decent build on her. But I'm assuming you're a new player if you're watching this, and I assume that you probably do not have access to Mesa. But don't worry about that because you can do this all with Rhino. I did this farm completely with Rhino. And what I will say is it did take me a minute to get all the parts I needed for Protea, but they did drop eventually. So go ahead and kill these specters that are rushing you. When you're doing Granum's Void, if you're doing it solo, for the minimum requirement to complete the Void, you need to complete 25 kills, or 50 kills, or 75 kills for the maximum requirement. And so you want to be hitting that 75 kill threshold every time. Obviously not right now because this is kind of a tutorial section showing you where you're going to be farming at and what you're going to be doing. But in the future, when you are farming Protea, keep that in mind. So once you finish in Granum's Void, you're pretty much clear to head to Extraction. So go ahead and head to Extraction and you can proceed on the next part of your quest. Upon arriving back to your ship, you will get a message from Nathaniel, and Nathaniel will give you a Zorus blueprint. The Zorus is basically a glaive. The Zorus is actually pretty top tier if you put a decent build on it, but even the investment into this weapon is very minor. So before you can build the Zorus, you need to accrue the parts to build the Zorus. So go ahead and head over to your navigation, bring down your quest menu, and this is going to bring you to a spy mission. Now, spy missions are traditionally randomly generated, so my spy probably will not be the same as your spy mission, but I'm going to show it anyway, just in case, just for people that have trouble doing these spy missions. Now, the key to doing a spy mission is just to take your time, don't trip any alarms, and destroy any cameras along the way. And as you can see, I come in here and I kill the Corpus dude and I destroy this camera. And this vent right here actually takes me right into the data room, the vent right under the first camera. So that's a W if I ever seen one. As you can see, for doing this one, we have obtained the Zorus handle. Now we're going to head over to Terminal B. And for Terminal B, it's the wall of lasers. And this one is actually pretty easy. It gets a lot harder when you get into higher level missions. But basically, just avoid the lasers. You can hide along the crevices along the side of the walls because the lasers cannot enter these crevices, as I will demonstrate right here. But you can totally duck out from the lasers right here in this area. And make sure you don't run into any cameras, because once you bend that first corner where that second laser wall is, there's usually a camera right there. And what I like to do is I like to peek in this window, because sometimes when you enter the data room, as soon as you open this door, there will be a camera faced at the door. So you'll just immediately trip the alarms. And so if there is a camera facing the door, what you need to do is go through the vents. So I'm gonna go ahead and hack terminal B. And as you can see, we have obtained the Zorus core. And so moving on to terminal C. For terminal C, I got a pretty easy one. This is probably one of the easiest ones you can get. It's pretty much just the tower where you have to jump up to the tower in the middle of the room, go through the hole in the roof, and avoid all the lasers as you're jumping down. And one thing you want to do when you're doing this room is really easy. So it's really easy to just kind of run straight to the data. But what you really want to do is you really want to kill any enemies along the way that spot you, because if you don't, these guys can easily go trip the alarms while you're trying to avoid these lasers. As you can see, I get kind of tripped up right here a little bit, but no big deal. No big deal. I make my way down. I like to jump before I drop down, because there's been times where I've just dropped down and I don't know what the hell it is, but something, I'm guessing it's like the skin of my head hit the lasers as I'm dropping down. So I like to jump before I drop down. And so as you can see, we have obtained all of the parts for the Zorus. Now, at this point, what you want to do is you want to head over to your foundry, scroll over to your melee weapons section, scroll down to the Zorus, and you want to build that puppy. This puppy has a build time of 0 minutes. That basically means 1 minute or 30 seconds in this case. So go ahead and just build that. And once that thing is complete, you can proceed on the next part of your quest. One thing I will say about the Zorus is really good, but if you're going to be farming Granum's Void, or if you're going to just proceed on this quest, you're probably going to want to take this thing to Hydron to level it up a little bit. So, as you can see, if you go to your arsenal and you go in your melee weapons, you now have Azorus. And DE, they're so shady. They didn't even put a catalyst on this thing. So, yeah, you're going to have to figure out some way to get a catalyst, whether that is through the credit offering on the Nightwave or just buying it from the market. You really should be using this thing with a catalyst. So, sorry about that part, guys. But yeah, I'd say get yourself a catalyst and go level your Zorus up. And once you finish that, then you should proceed. Or you can just go anyway if you want to make it a little harder on yourself. So, I took my Zorus to Hydron and I leveled this baby up a little bit. And as you can see, this is a no forma build, but it definitely works for what we are going to need it for, which is not a whole lot. And I am running viral in radiation on this build, but keep in mind that you can get different procs just by switching your elemental mods around. So, as you can see, guys, I'm currently on gas and magnetic, but if I switch Fever Strike with Vicious Frost, that's gonna change my status procs from gas and magnetic to corrosive and blast damage. And if I switch Volcanic Edge with Fever Strike, that's gonna give me radiation and viral once again. And what I will say is you are going to be going to a Corpus planet, so you really should be running gas or magnetic, preferably both. Gas used to be really OP at one point in the game, but they nerfed the effectiveness of gas. It's just not what it used to be. Gas used to ignore armor and all kinds of stuff, but No worries. Gas is still really good for corpus type enemies, and you already know magnetic damage is just going to immediately wreck their shields. So once you're done with that, go ahead and head to your navigation, bring down your quest menu, and your next mission is going to take you to Neptune. So, once again, guys, in order to gain access to Granum's Void, you need to kill a treasure in order to get a token so you can get into the Void. And so, once you locate the treasure, go ahead and kill this guy and take his coin. And one thing that I will say is these guys are actually kind of tanky. These guys have a decent shield on, and you can sit here and try to hit this thing with your glaive. I'm sure your glaive normally wrecks shit, but this dude's shield is so big, just shoot him with your gun. Just shoot this dude with your gun and grab the coin. And we are on Neptune, so I think we'll probably either receive a higher tier version of the coin or a middle tier version of the coin. But either way, no matter, go ahead and head to the Golden Hand. And once you've cleared out all of the enemies, go ahead and make your way inside Granum's Void. Now, when you're farming Granum's Void, in addition to the 75 enemies that you need to kill, there's also 3 Solaris United that are trapped in some kind of cryo state, right? What you want to do is you want to defeat at least 3 Spectres with your Zors, and what that does is it charges your Zors. You know your Zorus is charged based off of those 3 dots by your target reticle, because once it's all the way charged up, you'll have 3 dots right there ready to go. When it is all the way charged up, what you want to do is you want to use that explosion on the Solaris United guy. That way you can free him. And you can actually farm Solaris United rep this way, but considering the fact that you only get 100 rep per captive freed, I would say it's not really that viable, considering the fact that there's usually only 3 captives on each of these Granum Void missions. But if you're going to be farming Granum's Void anyway, it's still a nice plus. Another thing to keep an eye out when you're farming Granum's Void. When you're farming, you're gonna see these tiny pyramid looking things, like these tiny triangular looking things. Those things, when picked up, give you extra time in order to complete the mission. When you're farming Granum's Void normally, all this stuff has a time limit on it. I believe the base time limit is about 30 seconds or a minute. So what you want to do is you want to kill those 75 enemies within that time limit. But if you find yourself running out of time, just make sure you're picking up these little triangular pyramid things that give you extra time. Anyway, eventually you're going to be prompted to fight a Protea Spectre. She is not that strong at all, and they want you to hit her with your Zorus while she's doing her rewind thing. But this is another fight where the framework is pretty bad, because I was definitely hitting her while she was in her rewind phase, but she just kept going immune, and it seemed like I was just repeating this process over and over again. Eventually, I got frustrated and I just stopped fighting and I just let her kill me. And finally, when I let her kill me, the when I respawned, I was able to fight and kill her within the next try. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. Even though you're going to be whooping Protea's ass, the framework of the fight is just so piss poor that eventually you're probably going to get frustrated. But for now, I guess just keep putting her on her ass and trying to hit her while she's in her rewind state. That way you can deplete her health bar. But good luck. But once you complete that, you will have completed the Deadlock Protocol Quest and you will have obtained the Protea blueprint. Now, remember what we were saying earlier. In order to farm Protea parts, you want to do Granum's Void, but you want to be farming every tier of Granum's Void. So that means the low tier, the mid tier, and the high tier. Now, if you're going to be farming Protea, I put all of the nodes you need to farm on the screen, as you can see. So, once you're ready, go ahead and make your way to a golden hand. And once you've cleared out all of the enemies in the nearby area, this can be kind of annoying because sometimes enemies will just keep spawning. But the best thing I could say is as soon as you see a clear window, just go for it because these guys will literally just keep coming. So just try to clear out as many of them as possible. And then as soon as you get a window, go ahead and head to this hand and activate Granum's Void. So go ahead and enter the Void. A good practice too is to make sure you're topped off before you even enter Granum's Void. So, like I said, the best Warframe to use is probably either Protea or Mesa to do this, right? But on this account, all I have is a Rhino since this is supposed to be a new player account. So once you go into the Void, I like to immediately head over to where the Solaris guys are. That way, as I'm killing these Granum Void dudes, I could just passively release these Solaris United guys while I'm doing that. And remember guys, as you're doing this, make sure you keep an eye out for those little tiny triangular pyramids because what those are going to do is those are going to extend the time that you can remain in Granum's Void. So keep that in mind. But as long as you're capturing the little time cubes, like you can see right here, and I see another one, so I'm going to go grab that. As long as you're capturing the time cubes as well as killing the specters as quickly as possible, you should be able to reach the 75 kill threshold with no problems. And like I said, the best Warframe to use is probably either going to be Mesa or Protea. I've even seen some people using Saren, but I don't know how effective she can really be in Granum's Void. But one thing I will say is I did this all completely with Rhino, and so I'm 100% positive if an idiot like me can farm Protea using nothing but Rhino, you can absolutely do the same, and you might have better Warframes in your kit already. The only reason why I do not have better Warframes on this account is because this is supposed to be a new player account where we do not spend money on weapons or Warframes. But truth be told, I did spend some money on weapon and Warframe slots. You know, just so I have more slots to put the weapons and Warframes that I've managed to farm for free. And so, bam, as you can see, we did hit that 75 kill threshold. And once you do that, make sure you go kill the treasurer. That way you can get a refund and you won't have to have an unlimited amount of Granum Void coins. You basically just need one to constantly do this farm, and you get a refund at the end of the mission when the treasurer pops up. So as you can see, we did complete the mission and we got the Velox Barrow. So we're going to keep farming because we're not necessarily after the Velox. What we really want is Protea. Also, I wouldn't mind getting a Stropha, seeing as the Stropha is an extremely powerful gunblade. But the Stropha is going to be a plus. What we really want is we really want Protea parts. So that's what we're going to keep farming for. And what I will say is these parts are kind of rare. Prepare to do this farm kind of a lot. I think her first part I got about 8 runs in, and her second part I believe I got like 12 runs in. But her last part, the last part I needed was whatever part drops on Jupiter, either the chassis or the system or something. But whatever part that dropped on Jupiter took me so long to get. I literally did about 23 runs through, to the point where I was even running it with other players. And when you run it with other players, depending on how many players you have, the kill count that you need goes up. So, say if I have one additional player, instead of 75 kills, we would need 100 kills. If I had 2 additional players, instead of 100 kills, we would need 125 kills. With 3 additional players, instead of 125, I think it defaults to 150, but I don't know because I never had more than 2 players with a 125 kill cap. But yeah, your RNG might be a lot better than mine. RNGesus just was not answering my prayers when I was farming for Protea, because I literally was doing so many runs that I made friends with the people I was running it with. And by the end of it, right, I just kind of gave up and I was like, you know what? I need to just tackle this again later, right? But I got off the game, took a shower, took a dab, and I actually had planned to go to sleep. But then something when I was lying down was like, man, I just can't leave it up in the air right that. Something just Something inside me just wanted to get that last Protea part so bad, considering I had spent a decent amount of time farming her. So eventually I did get my ass back up, and I put my boots back on and I marched my ass back out here and kept farming for Protea. As you can see, we did not get any Protea parts on that run, but I got a Corpus orbital cannon scene for Captura, as well as a Stropha stock. So if you're into Captura, you will get some scenes from Granum's Void for Captura. You can also acquire decorative coins. You know those coins that you're using to get into Granum's Void? You can actually get some of those as decorations for your ship. And so once you're ready to buy the Velox blueprint is in the market. So you just have to go into the market to get the blueprint. But for the Stropha, if you need the Stropha blueprint, from what I was told, the Stropha blueprint drops from the Jackal. So yeah, have fun with that whenever you're ready to farm the Stropha. So once again, guys, on this run, I have hit the 75 kill threshold, and when I did complete this part of the mission, upon arriving to extraction, I unfortunately did not receive the Protea part, and so I just kept farming. And they give you this shoulder guard, right? But it's only the right guard, or it's only the left guard, right? They don't even give you the other guard to this. So yeah, if you want the other shoulder guard, you're gonna have to keep running Granum's Void. So I keep running Granum, and eventually I do end up getting a Protea part, and I keep farming for the rest of the day. And like I said, eventually I did end up getting every part I needed for Protea, and I was able to craft those parts. And currently I have Protea in my foundry crafting with about 2 days build time left. There it is, guys. This has been the Warframe Collective's first step guide to the Deadlock Protocol. If you find anything helpful, maybe like and subscribe.